Welcome to Spursvasion TV. Right, hope you guys are doing well. Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you are around in the world. Right, guys, today I'm just doing the show just for the fun of it, right? I know that, the possibility of Ange coming back uh, is most close to zero, but let's see. Maybe we could dissect this dilemma why we are in this situation now. As I can tell you, we all know that we are facing dire times now, relegation, blah blah blah. Right? For me, is that what I'm trying to say is this: my opinion, and this is how I think. If we did bring Ange back, it most probably will work because number one, he did bring this bunch of men, right? Not boys, right? They're men, but maybe some of them were or are still young, right? In their 19s or maybe 18s, right? But once you become a professional footballer, I'll consider you a man. Once you make about, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, 200,000 pounds a week, you'll be considered a man, right? And you have responsibilities. Somehow or another, I'm not sure why our players have all become so bad. Come on, they are professional players, right? They are paid to play football, they train football, they eat football, they live football, right? They should be doing something like that. You must be a fan of football before you actually want to become a footballer. But nowadays, I think a lot of players aren't that. Maybe that's why we're getting the wrong type of players coming in to play for us, right? So we know what happened last season, right? We have to take into context, right? The Ange bashing and all that, right? The diminishing of the cup and all that. That pisses me off. Again, Ange is the only manager that actually united the fan base, right? 250,000 of them turned up. 250,000 of us fans. I wasn't there, but I did a watch along, right? Thanks to TJ from Into Spurs. He provided a lot of live content, right? That made me feel proud, right? That was an emotion that Ange gave to me, right? And of course, now there's this big debate out there that says that, right? Come on, Scotty, I'm just having my opinion, all right? That had nothing to do with Ange, though. No, what mean had nothing to do with Ange? She was there, right? He has to be there, and it has to have something to do with him. He could have not followed or followed. He was part of it, right? Big up, right, to guy. He's in Cyprus at the moment, right? I told him to go and look up Stel, but then I think he's too busy. He's in IT, a lot of work to be done, according to him, right? So, and where was I? Yeah. So that emotion, that feeling proud. Spurs fans around the world in Asia stayed up till 4 a.m. in the morning, to 6 a.m., 7 a.m. Some of us watched that game, went straight to work, right? Peter, big up, Peter. Hope you're doing well. You clowns and should have been given time. Yes, Peter. Peter, we don't disagree a lot. I mean, we don't agree a lot, right? But to tell the truth, I did say this. If Ange won that cup, right, he should have been given time because he built something. I don't understand. Why have we all become so heartless, right? There must be an emotional tie to the victory. If we don't have a fucking, is it 10 minutes? If we don't have a freaking emotional tie to that victory, right, and feeling proud of that trophy, yeah, there's really something wrong, right? Right? Damn wrong account per usual. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. I know. Let me see. Sorry, right? Didn't mean to throw you off your start. It's okay, Scotty. I mean, I think Scotty should be working now, right? If I'm not mistaken. What time is that? 12 p.m. in Canada. Your parts of Canada, right? So where was I? Okay, back to the story. Right. Okay, Spurs fans, the parade, the emotion, winning the trophy, right? And with a bunch of kids, yeah, with a bunch of kids, right? The only what am I missing? Hold on. The only manager to unite the players. Yes, only managers. Hey, 11:30, but snow day, so no work. Join me, Scott. Since you got no work, right? But I know the kids are back in at home with you. Join me, Scott. Right? Let's have a conversation. We haven't chatted in a long time, right? And Scott and I, we've known each other, I think, way too long, right? Because of Spurs, way too long, right? Yeah. Guys, to tell the truth, right? Why I find this weird is because I've been doing this YouTube thing for nearly 6 years now, 5 years, 6 years, right? Meeting up with Scott, Peter. No, Scott face to face. Peter is in Australia, I know. What time is it in Australia now, Peter? Bloody hell, it must be about 4 a.m. Or you just woken up, or you better go to sleep, right? All right, 10 minutes. Scott is jumping on. Big up. Good, Scott. We can have a conversation, right? Have a conversation, right? So that emotion, that's why I'm finding, right? Our club, because of our owners, don't have heart. They make decisions, and usually they get them wrong. Oh, yeah, that's why. Peter, you're not asleep yet, or you just woken up? That's why I know Peter's in Sydney, Melbourne. If you're 2 hours ahead, Sydney or Melbourne, 1.5 hours, 2 hours. Yeah. The emotions that why do we do this? Why are we fans first, right? What's our standards, right? What do we want? What's our achievements of being a fan, right? I don't want to be bantered. Look at X on Best of Enemy. Bloody KG made a song, right? I should play it for you guys, right? It was Lionel Richie's Hello, right? I can't remember the words now. Right? Think about it, right? Oh, working. Peter is working, and walk one. Yes, Donna Cullen, long time no see. Mr. Eugene, why you're not saying bring Donna back? Donna, if you want to come back, right? You're always welcome to come back. We're going down, right? It doesn't matter anymore, right? Come on back, right? Join the sinking boat, right? Maybe you will help us, float again, right? Maybe you help us float again, right? Okay, back to it. Trophy, emotion, Ange, right? The context is after January 20, mathematically, I think somewhere in January, right? We couldn't get relegated. Okay, so that context is never brought into it, right? That context doesn't count into the 22 losses. Why he threw 20? We reached 22 losses, right? But this season, right, we really see that we are shit all over the pitch, right? It's like the players have no heart, don't want to play for us. Why? Why no one is asking that question? Why, right? If they really don't care, the board should sack all of them, bin all of them. The board should override the manager and tell them, if these players are not turning up, not putting a fight, put in our academy players. Give them a try. Give them a chance. It doesn't matter, right? Since we're going down, right? But what I'm saying now is that, but before I go in there, I experienced going down. Yeah, I know. I'm sure you do, right? Of course, I know how to really go down. Yeah. I can't handle it. Okay. Miss Donna, welcome back. Long time no see. Donna Cullen in the chats here has got a history. And later when Scott N comes on, that history will be explained, right? She's been put on blame on other people using her name. There's so much drama in the Spurs YouTube that goes on. Guys, you won't even understand, right? Yeah. But this season's a bit weird because enemies are now friends, and a certain person that's very loud is just being quiet. Let's see what happens then. Losing in the Premier League. Okay, Scotty, losing in the Premier League was celebrated last season and cheered on. Yeah, I know. Scott, I'm not saying... Hold on. Hey, Mani is here. Let Mani come on first. All right. Hi, Mani. Hey, Mani says Scotty will join. You know, Scott, I'm sure you met Scott M, right?
Yes. I know Scott. I mean, listen. So it's going to be interesting because let me tell you one thing. I know that Scott and quite a few others are among many Spurs YouTubers who have made it crystal clear that they do not want to see Ange Postecoglou back under any circumstances.
Yeah.
And I did say in reply to your tweet that it's a case of once bitten, twice shy. Now, and no, Guy, I haven't got a new haircut. It's just a case of, slicking it a little bit. I do need to get myself a new haircut, so thank you very much indeed for asking. And right on cue.
See, bro. Yeah. You know, in Asia, right, when we talk about someone and all of a sudden he turns up, bro, you're gonna live long, right?
Yeah, exactly. We have a very similar turn of phrase in Tamil. I don't know if you know this, but translated into English, Eugene, it means, you live for 100 years, something similar to that. So, yeah, I mean, this is one of the reasons why I love being on a stream with you, Eugene, because in a way I feel sort of like a connection to you. Maybe not necessarily a compatriot, so to speak, but more of a continental cousin, as it were.
Continental cousin. Yeah.
Or cultural cousin, definitely.
Cultural, right? Because Southern Indian and where Mani comes from, we do have a large, ethnicity of, in
exactly.
part of our Malaysian culture too. Big up, Scotty. How are you doing?
Good.
Yeah.
Thought I'd come on here.
Where are the kids?
Some are at school and some are home, so not everywhere around me. I don't work in the city that we live in. I live out of town, and so it's a snow day for the out of towners, but school for inside the city.
The locals still need to go to school, but since you have to travel far, you don't have to. No. So that means where you're going to is snowed out. You can't reach that. So that's sort of.
Yeah, the roads are just a skating rink out here. It's the worst kind. It's actually one of the things. It's when it snows a lot, it's okay. The problem that we have here is it's not that cold. It's right around zero. So it snowed a little bit, but it's right around zero. So it melted in the afternoon and evening, and then it turns into ice because it freezes overnight. That's actually way worse. A lot of snow is kind of better because you can drive on snow. It's the ice that's the worst. But as usual, we're on to weather instead of Spurs because we don't want to talk about Spurs, right? We're talking about
guys. Okay. Today's thumbnail and today's subject is #bring Ange back, right? And I had to talk about it because I feel very strongly that what we did in sacking Ange, right, damaged the players.
Yes.
Do you think that's true, Scott? Scott doesn't believe that. Scott's got no.
I'll say, Ram,
you got 4 daughters and you don't show emotion for the footballers.
Sacking Ange is one of the greatest moments of my Spurs fandom. It's one of the happiest moments that I can remember being a Spurs fan. Sacking Ange, I can't think of anything the club has done in 100+ years that was a better decision than that.
Scott, but isn't winning the trophy the happiest moment? That's supposed to be it, right? It's not sacking a manager. You're winning the trophy. Come on, Scotty, you're getting your priorities wrong.
But a trophy that Ange had nothing to do with, right? Like we won in spite of Ange.
Come on, he was there.
No.
He had nothing. He lowered our chances of winning. If we would have had my dogs managing the club, we would have had a better chance.
But in the end of the fact is that we won, Scotty. It doesn't matter if buts or whatever in the past. We won, right? You understand that logic, right? But why can't we be proud about it?
Yes, I never said we didn't win, but just because we won doesn't mean that we
proud about it.
The worst manager in the history of the Premier League, not for Spurs, for any club.
No. At this moment in time, I'm not talking about the manager. Right? Right, Scott, after when Levy came out and said we got our Tottenham back, right? I went on my rant. Remember? Right? I said I don't want this Tottenham because this Tottenham hasn't won the league in 65, 62, 63 years. Why? Right? Then I became manager don't care. right? But there was one thing that isolated him in every watch along, Scotty. You were there with me too, right? In one or two of them. You know, we were shouting at, we're losing the ball again. We're losing the ball again. This is not logical, right? What the hell are we doing? Doesn't these players know how to play football? Are they that stupid? But somehow or another, right? You've got this bunch of dumb ass idiots, right? To win a trophy. Think about it.
But he didn't. Like, it had nothing to do with his managing, right?
But no, it doesn't. Okay, whether it's managerial or manager or whatever, right? It's a human thing. He got to tune out the guys.
When we had 22 losses
after we threw the league from January.
No, I'm not doing that nonsense. He threw the league. We were 13th before the knockout stages. We were bad in the league before that. Him throwing the league doesn't mean that you have to play a high line with two inverted fullbacks when you have Archie Gray and and Davies as your center back. So you could still make smart decisions if you're sitting the players, right? If he would have sat the players, like you said, he sat out Romero and Van de Ven and made smart tactical decisions in the league, maybe then. But he sat the players and made moronic decisions, right? That he didn't throw the league when he still played a high line with Archie Gray and Ben Davies. That's being a moron because he doesn't understand football. He's a moron.
He can't be a moron.
Which is why when he came to Forest, he didn't change anything and was a utter failure at Forest. Couldn't win a thing because he doesn't understand football.
No, then what about Tudor now? Is Tudor a moron? And he doesn't understand
Tudor,
football?
yeah, Tudor, I wouldn't have brought in Tudor. No. I think Tudor's got a hard time
but now,
to come in with...
No, he's here now, right? So what about Tudor now, right? He's a moron. What about Frank? Right? They brought
in. What about Frank? Yeah.
Did the team improve?
From last year? Yeah.
Yeah, come on. You sure the team improved from last year?
Yeah, not much. Not how we want it to, but yes.
The way we play?
Yes.
Right. All right. I mean, that's your opinion, right? Big up everyone. Big up.
Not like we want. Like I didn't want Frank. Frank wasn't the guy I wanted. But he's here. Like I'm not saying Frank is amazing, but he's not as bad as Ange. Like that's a low bar, though, right? Like that's the thing. So
I think Frank is worse than Ange.
No, not even close to it.
Bro, at least Ange, right? He had a style of play, a pattern of play, right? Even though know how moronic it is, putting 11 players in the opposition box, it was a style of play. A way of going forward. I was confused every game he played.
But so we want a terrible style of play. That's what we want. So you come in and you do 10 forwards
better than
one defender. Then good job. You have a style of play.
No, both is not good, right? We need a balance. Yeah. We all know that, right?
I agree.
We all know that, right?
Yeah, I agree. Nice. We need better. That's the problem.
Right. We all know we need better, but we've been in this scenario over and over again, right? From from day one we met, right? That you said, right? The first thing we talk about is the weather. We don't even talk about Spurs, right? It's like deja vu. We're going back to square one again. Remember?
Oh yeah, with Jamie, we talk about breakfast cereals halfway through the game because it was so terrible to watch.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the football this season is good. It's been horrible.
Then that means our players are all that shit. They're worse than shit. They should play in League Two.
Some of them, I would put them in. I would say we have players who would struggle in the championship next season. If you look at what if we get relegated, we'll improve it. But if you look at the base of the team, like if you have a base of a team that has players like Odobert, Tell, Solanke, Richarlison, Sarr, Bergvall, Archie Gray, that's a mid-level championship team, not a top level. Like those guys are mid-level championship players. And that's the problem we have. And we have them starting for us this season. Like that's why I'll say it. I talk, Dan, I talk to him and I say all the time, I'm not surprised by how bad we are this year.
No, of course, Scott, I've been saying it for so long, right? Right? I've been saying burn it down, right? And now actually it looks like we're going to burn it down, right? Because we're going to go down, right? But in the sense of we know it, we've seen it coming for the past 5-6 years. We've been doing this. Every time we recruit players, our young players, right, and usually from a team that's going to get relegated, right, or already in the championship, right. That's where we buy our players. So what do we expect, right? The qualities that you pay for is the quality that you get, and sometimes, right, we've overpaid for the quality. And last, right, power bomb, right? We just shouldn't have sacked Mourinho. Then again, with Ange and so many here and there. Yeah, the truth, right? We can come back to that. Yeah, we can come back to that to another show, right? And Scotty and I can go through the history of being ENIC out, Levy out, right? And how long we've been doing it. And now just getting a bit bored about it. But, it's coming back again. It's coming back again. Again. How many times is, I have to say it again, right? But what I'm saying is that, right? I'm sure as a manager, if you're a manager, you're managing human beings, right? You go through the ups and downs, the emotions, right? And in that, if you reach your level of, winning something, right? There is an emotional bond there that brings it, right? So, Money, your thoughts now, right? Since you've been quiet for a while.
Thank you very much indeed. And yes, I've been quiet, but I've literally been shaking my head as well for every single statement that Scott has made. And I'd like to have the opportunity to articulate what I'm about to say. As I said to you before Scott came on, I'm always a believer in the adage of once bitten, twice shy. And I don't see Ange coming back. He made it clear on the overlap that he wasn't going to go back to Celtic, although there were some good reasons why he left. And I don't see him coming back to Tottenham either. But I'm also going to speak as a person. Right? Yeah, but here's the thing. I'm also one of those people, I remember being on one of those watch-alongs with you. That was the 3-2 reverse to Brighton at the Amex Stadium, where you went 2-0 up, and then they ended up coming back 3-2. And if memory serves me right, that was probably the tipping point when I think you and a large number of other people started to realize, you know what, this bloke just ain't it. Even after finishing fifth and just missing out on Champions League football the previous season, people are always going to use the performances after the first 10 games, most notably starting with that 1-4 reverse at home to Mauricio Pochettino's Chelsea, with which to kind of beat him, saying, it just went to pot afterwards. We weren't able to get Champions League.
But during the 1-4 defeat, right, we were down to 9 men.
Yes, that's the thing. That's the thing. And even now, I still see a large number of people say, you know what? We had marginal decisions go against us, but we still gave it our all. And yes, we did leave a few gaps at the back. And yes, we, obviously, given that we were 9 against 11, they did end up, giving us a pasting. But that was a performance in the eyes of many people that epitomized the motto, "Audaire est facile," to dare is to do. And, a lot of people are still going to talk about how you just missed out on CL football. And of course, there are several Arsenal fans who are still very salty about that home reverse to Manchester City by saying your fans didn't care about qualifying for the Champions League as long as you lost to City and helped and tried to muck us over. But I'm not one to do that. And I remember you saying, Eugene, on one of your other streams, that if we cared that much about Champions League football, we should have won a few of our earlier games. And this was a game against City that, you just, if it meant, giving Arsenal a bit of a leg up, you couldn't do that. And I'm always a believer in that nobody has any right, no team or fan base has any right to accept favors from other teams. You have to win something on your own merit. And instead of being angry at you, we have to be angry at ourselves for choking it horribly to our former manager and his team, Aston Villa, at home at the Emirates. Emery got his well-deserved revenge that day. And then City went on to win every game. And despite our best efforts, we weren't able to get to overtake them, and they ended up winning, and deservedly so. And that is something that still hurts me a great deal. But we can't blame anyone but ourselves. And then the following season, I do seem to remember, obviously, things weren't going too well. But I also knew that with the Europa League taking place, with the exception of maybe one or two performances, I thought you lot actually didn't look out of place. You looked really, really good. And as long as you qualified for the knockout stage via the top 8, you always were going to give yourself a chance, especially when you consider some of the opposition. And let's get one thing straight. The opposition that you faced in the knockout stages, and half of them in the league, were not bad by any means. You didn't have it all too easily. And I know that Scott will probably look at me and disagree, but, you still have to make sure that you do as well as you can in the matches that you have, do what you need to do to get the points you need to qualify. And you did that. I think you qualified 3rd, while Manchester United were 4th, I think, if memory serves me right. And then, you had your path to the title. I think you had AZ Alkmaar and then Eintracht Frankfurt and then Bodo Glimt. And then, of course, Manchester United in the final. And I do seem to remember Ange himself saying that when it comes to knockout football, sometimes there are moments when you need to be a little bit pragmatic. And he also showed you, and Guy, listen, I get what you're saying. Yes, you were favourites or joint favourites to win that competition, but you still had to do it. If you didn't do, just imagine if you weren't able to do it, how humiliating would that have been? How much abuse you would have copped. And
no, Manny, wait. If we didn't win it, right, it wouldn't have mattered. Our Spurs fan base, right, will be tag Spursy again, right? We'll be happy to eat the banter, the things that thrown at us and all that. No, it is what it is, right?
Yeah, but I'm also going to say this right now. I don't quite remember when Ange made that statement about always winning things in the second year. It might have been after a North London derby loss. Now, I was interested to hear him say that, and I knew that as long as you had some chances in competitions like the Europa League and the League Cup or elsewhere, you always had some chances. And yes, I knew that the Europa League as well was an opportunity for you to kill 2 birds with one stone, win yourself a trophy and qualify for the Champions League again. And that way you ended up getting a huge cash flow. So Spurs have always been a cup team, and you also, over the years, have had a much better European legacy than Arsenal. I think you were the first team to win the European Cup Winners' Cup, any sort of European trophy, the first English team, if not the first British team. You were also the first English team to win the UEFA Cup, which is now the Europa League, and now you've got 3 Europa Leagues as well. And I knew as well that as long as you continue to do as well as you could in the Europa League, you always would give yourself a chance. And Ange himself said that sometimes you have to be pragmatic. And one thing which I will agree with Scott is that had he been a little bit more pragmatic in a few more games, maybe there was a chance that he would have earned a few more points. There was one game, I believe it was ironically against Thomas Frank's Brentford at the G-Tech, where your style was more or less counter-attacking. You sort of sat back and allowed Brentford to come at you. And then you found gaps in their defence and you got an away win. And Ange's record against Thomas Frank has played for 1-3, drawn 1. And to think you sacked Ange and replaced him with someone inferior, that really made me laugh. But the point I'm saying is that Scott is right when he says that maybe Ange should have been a little bit more pragmatic in a few other games, at least. But even then, there were some moments when he would have tried to be pragmatic and the team just wouldn't be able to, cope. And the injuries just kept piling up. There had to be, some fringe teams effectively put out. And so there was a situation where, you were at a certain stage where you weren't going to get relegated. If, as in this season, you would have been in serious danger of getting relegated, I don't think Ange would have, thrown the league away. He's not that stupid. Because
but when you say throw the league away, Manny, he didn't throw the league away, right? Like, again, it's a myth because we were 13th before the Europa League knockout. Like, it's not like we were cruising along and then all of a sudden when Europa started, we just stopped winning. We hadn't been winning for a year, right? After those 10 games We hadn't been winning in the Premier League since before that. That's why I don't like the idea that he threw it away as though we were doing well and successful, and then all of a sudden we stopped doing poorly. We were doing terribly before the Europa League knockout stages started, and we just continued to be bad afterwards.
But then again, Scott, I also have to say right now, and let me get back to it, that when the injuries started piling up, that was when a decision had to be made. And Ange also knew that, he knew as well that basically that the further you got in the Europa League, the better the chances that you had of winning it all. And I'm not going to buy this narrative either that, that there was one in spite of him, because he spoke later on in many interviews that it was his tactic in that final to basically sit back, shut up shop, and allow United to come on. And he said that sometimes you have to adopt that level of pragmatism when you're in a knockout tournament. Sometimes if you're in the league, you don't necessarily need to be too pragmatic to some extent, because it can be forgiving to an extent where you lose one game and you can concentrate on the next one. But in the knockout tournament, you make one mistake, you lose a game, and that's the end of your journey. Even if you're talking about a two-legged knockout stage, there's still going to be a great deal of jeopardy involved. For me personally, what made it clear was that although there were so many struggles and so many hardships along the way, the players really did like him. They did respect him. And when when some of the first teamers came back, and it was sort of agreed that focusing on the Europa League was the best thing to do because Spurs had no real chance of getting relegated, everyone brought into that. And it was wonderful. I mean, look, as an Arsenal fan, let me tell you right now, I was fit to be tied when Spurs won that Europa League, because I never would like to see Spurs be successful. But there's something about Ange that I really, really liked about the way he conducted himself, the way he was able to bring everyone together. And I'm not about to, buy this narrative that people have by saying that he only cared about his own ego and he never cared about the club at all. I believe he did. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the result that you have right now. And so the right thing to do after such a momentous tournament, after something which was able to unite the team, bring everyone together, and at least momentarily unite the fan base, provide so many people who had never seen any of Spurs' prior European triumphs, that wonderful moment in Bilbao they would never forget. The sensible thing to do when you have that level of unity, at least within the first team, would be reset, start with a new squad. Or maybe on new squad, but let everything start from scratch again. You start going again. You analyze what went wrong and maybe see where you could improve. And then you sort of go again. Now, I understand eventually that, people took the decision, and he also agreed that, the way the league form was going, he knew that his days were numbered. And so if you had to sack him after all that, then that was fine. But what angered me a great deal was how people were literally, gleefully hounding out Ange and also welcoming Thomas Frank, with one very popular Spurs YouTuber saying, "I'm so delighted that we got rid of that useless git, that useless Aussie git who couldn't manage a booze up in a brewery, and now we've got a proper manager who really knows what he's doing." But I was one of many people who called it. I said, no, he is nothing but another Graham Potter for whom the job is just too big. And after such a wonderful start, which paled in comparison to Ange's own start, I told myself, and that was after the home loss to Aston Villa, that Spurs would not return to the Champions League, and it proved. And so not even you, Scott, can agree in totality that Frank was in any way better than Ange. I'm sorry. Because as Eugene
it's no doubt. Like, I'm sorry. Frank is much better than Ange. Much better.
How?
Yeah.
What do you mean how?
Performance
He's a better
is
manager. His team's
no, but you must show me
better,
how, right? If he was a better manager, right, we wouldn't be playing football like that. You get what I'm saying?
Football like what? His football was much better than Ange's football.
Really?
But the results were horrible. No, they weren't. It wasn't better. The results tell the story.
Ange's results were
No.
Frank just got us fourth in Champions League. We're bragging about being fourth in the Europa League against Galatasaray and Elfsborg. Frank just got us fourth in the Champions League.
But what about the quality of the opposition?
And then you have to stop saying that there was unity. There was no unity. Spurs fans at worst were 50-50 when Ange got sacked. Like there was no Ange has the most.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
most
Spurs fans,
fan base has ever been, the most divided it's ever been was under Ange. That's no doubt. Like our fans,
in my
when he got sacked. There's no unity. He did not bring any unity at all. There's no unity.
He didn't bring unity to Spurs, but he did bring unity to the players, right?
Yes, I don't think so.
Exactly.
They didn't care. Who cared when he left? Nobody. Nobody cared when he left.
Really?
Who left? Who made a big stink? Nobody. They all came back because they don't care. They're professional footballers. They don't care that much about the managers.
But okay, right. Bringing Ange back. Okay, here comes Guy. Guy said, "Work, bro." No. Hey, Guy, can you hear us?
You're right, mate. Yeah, I'm not gonna
put...
No. I've just been listening. I'm just gonna let me do my avatar because I can't put my camera on because I'm on hotel Wi-Fi at the moment.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear. Can you hear us? Hotel Wi-Fi. All right, hotel Wi-Fi. I know. Right. Nah, but guys, I understand how Scott feels, right? He watches the football, he sees the regression of every game. To tell the truth, right? There are both ways of how there you go. That's how we want to see it, right? But to tell the truth, in that day, the fan base was really, really, really divided, right? At that time, right? There was a lot of actual hate going around, right? Scotty, we know that, right? And let me take this away and see Scotland. Yeah, I can see Scotland, right? But don't you feel? I mean, at least the cup, right? Doesn't the cup mean anything?
I can start there. I mean, yeah, it was because I was at the parade. All right. So I think what this conversation is because I think we're using different metrics. Okay, so when I say the fans were united during that cup run, I was at the parade. I think there was, I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but that whole high street was completely unified in the fact that we were celebrating the cup. Now, fans were still divided on the Ange, we're going to call it the Ange question, okay? The Ange question was to sack or not to sack. Now, in hindsight, we know that Ange was sacked due to the club aims, as stated by the club, because they said, and I quote, "We want to fight on all fronts." Now, whether we could do that or not, that were the club's aims. Now, looking at Ange's final league position, that does not and did not align with the club's aim at the time. I'm going purely off what the club said, yeah?
Yeah.
Yes or no? We agree on that, right? So if we agree on that, therefore, Ange had to be sacked. It's just a question of had to be. Now, if we also take his interviews, he said, and I quote in the overlap, "By January, I knew I was gone anyway." That's what he said. Now, he could lie. He could be lying, but we have to I take what people say on face value unless I'm given evidence that that is the opposite. In football, when someone comes out and does an interview like that, it's very hard for the club. They're not going to refute it or not because it's a lot of PR nightmare. Okay, so what he said. Now, again, did he throw the league? Okay, so that depends on what you mean by throw the league. And he said, and I quote, in that interview, he said, and again, we go on his words as honest, yeah, if we take them as honest, "I knew that we weren't going to get relegated, so I focused on the Europa League competition." Now, you can interpret that as not giving a crap about the Premier League or throwing the league or shifting focus. That's all good. That's all good. But we can admit that Ange did shift focus from the Premiership to the Europa. Do we agree on that?
I completely agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Scott, do you agree?
I don't see what this focus was, but sure. Like why
But that's
you need
what
to
he
focus.
said.
He had very few games. Yeah, I know he said that. Yes, that's what he
Okay,
said.
so you don't. So this, I think this is the contention I think that we're having here. I think that some people are taking Ange's words in good faith, but you are not taking Ange's words in good faith. You think it was a different situation.
I think that saying that what I don't say is the idea that you have to focus on Europa League and just spin off the league is a false.
Yeah, it's a false
idea.
binary. Yeah, it's a false
nonsense.
binary. Yeah, it's
that's
a false
what I
binary.
Don't believe. Yeah, sure. Do I
Yeah,
believe that's what he wants us to think? Yes, but it's nonsense. That's what.
Okay. So that's where the contention comes from. Because here we go. I like to do qualifiers. Okay. So yeah, no, I agree that sacking off the league just to focus on the Europa is a false binary. It's a logical fallacy. You can do both. But I'm just going on Ange's words on this one. But yes, so my point is, during that parade, we were completely unified. Everyone who was there, because I was there, spoke to loads of people, had a great time. Everyone was unified in the celebration. Whoever was there at that parade, because I can't tell about online because I don't use X, Facebook, or any of that. Everyone that day, that night, remember, Eugene, I was sending you texts. I was supposed to live stream with you, but everyone was live streaming. It got completely, everyone was on their phone, like, yeah. So on that day, I can say that every Spurs fan was unified in celebrating that cup. And that's what I consider we were unified in, and unified on celebrating. Now, if other people weren't, that's fine. That's all gravy. But everyone I met there was. But the Ange question always was sack him or let him go. And here we go. And it comes back to the next point that you've been discussing about Frank being better than Ange. Now, it depends what metrics we're looking at. Are we looking at win ratio? Are we looking at away form? Are we looking at it holistically? Are we taking in the idea of, constituting factors like injuries and all of that? And that's fine. So in my opinion, from everything that I've seen, going to the stadium and looking at the win ratios and all of that, I think for Spurs, because I can't talk for Brentford, I'm not a Brentford fan. I've never watched a Brentford game in my life unless we played them, right? Now, Frank may be a better manager overall, but I'm going to caveat this. Frank for Spurs was not as good as Ange for Spurs. Now,
exactly.
Now, here's the thing. We can also say that, look, Ange had a bigger game pool to take those data results from, right? And we also can add contexts to it. But from my opinion, going to the games, seeing the games, having discussions, and my opinion, which is not the best opinion in the world, because I'm not, like I say, I never watched Brentford. I think Ange for Spurs was better than Frank for Spurs. I'm going to tell you in the stadium, right? In the stadium, I can tell you right now, because the last game I went to was the Villa game, yeah? Everyone, and I spoke to loads of people, we were singing on the concourse, Frank out, Frank out, Frank out, and everyone was joining in. During the Ange Postecoglou era, there would always be arguments in the Discord, on the concourse, I'm about to say Discord then, on the concourse, about Ange in or Ange out. I have never seen at the end of Frank's tenure a Frank in person. Now, I saw loads of people in the concourse about Ange in, Ange out. It used to be one of the biggest conversations we ever had on the concourse. But now, we're just the last 3 or 4 games, no Frank supporters. So I think that's where the discussion is coming from. Now we need to talk about metrics. So Scott, because I want to get into the metrics.
I'll just say I just think that shows how dumb our fans are, though. But that's all.
I wouldn't start insulting fans because I don't do that because I don't think.
Well, I always insult our fans.
I know you do.
Go on.
But here we go. Here's the thing. So to understand your point better, what metrics would you use or are using to base that opinion on?
I'm just simple. Who would I rather want as my manager?
Okay, so it's vibes then. So you're going off vibes.
Just I've watched them both manage in the years, and Ange is a terrible manager. Frank is a okay manager.
Oh, I'm not saying Frank or Ange is better in the long run. But okay, cool. So that's the only thing I just wanted to clarify. Now the rest of yous can talk, and I'll just be here in the background, and I'll pick in and out when I need to.
All right.
I think Guy made a good point in which is that the fans were unified by the trophy. They were celebrating the trophy. They weren't unified by Ange. They weren't like, if you would have, I wasn't at the actual celebrations and we wouldn't be talking about it. But if you had asked people at that parade, do you want Ange to come back? You would have been at best 50-50. Yes.
Yes. Totally agree, mate.
So Ange wasn't the one unifying it. It was the Europa League. And we saw how quickly after that parade, it was within a week that people were again like, Ange out, get him out of here. We don't want him fighting. No, you're wrong.
But that was
the fans were fighting within a week.
No, but it was 50-50 again, you know. That's why it was fighting, right? But what Guy is saying, right? Frank is like he united the fan base, right? That the whole fan base was saying Frank out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it depends.
Absolutely.
It depends. Like I say, it all depends on the context and metrics that we are using about unification or diversification. So it's just nice to make that clear. What qualifiers we are using.
Oh, fair. I understand, right? But now, okay, that's it, right? Like the hashtag says, right? Bring Ange back, right? I know he won't come back, right? We all know he won't come back, right? But the thing is that,
and I don't want him back.
Yeah, I know. Guy doesn't want him back. Scott doesn't want him back. I want him back, right? But I know he won't come back. But
if I were a Spurs fan, I would want him back. And I'm going to offer this little caveat as well because, you know, clearly, you know, caveat is more or less the buzzword right now. You know, I like the way Guy has put it. It was the trophy that united them, but then without Ange, without his inspirational speech, without his ability to get the players, you know, fired up, they wouldn't have won it.
Man, you watched that game, right?
I did watch the game. Okay, I did.
You thought that was a fired up team? That was maybe the worst football game ever played.
Yeah, it was.
If it was a horrible football game, it takes 2 teams to produce a horrible spectacle. Let's make that very clear.
Oh yeah, no, okay? United is awful. United was awful. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if I may, you know, I'm reminded of the words of the immortal Whitney Houston. I don't care how you get here if you can. And in the same way, I wouldn't care less how you win it. Just win it if you can. And you take a look at the parallels right now, what we have.
Sure, but Manny, can I stop you 1 second? Because I don't disagree. We got there. You're right. We got there and we won. Hooray. But now what you're saying going forward is something different, right? Get there how you can. Yes, win it. Yay, we won it. But then you have to look at going forward. And that's where the problem is.
Okay, and here is where I'm going to continue my argument, and I would like the freedom to articulate my point, if you don't mind. Thank you. Now, We see a lot of similarities between Spurs and Arsenal with, the way things are going with Mikel Arteta. And this is another reason why a large number of people, and Eugene, please, I know you're going to disagree, but please let me just again articulate, okay? Yes, we're top of the league and, Spurs are struggling, for want of a nicer word. But, the mentality in some cases regarding, our own team and our manager is also quite similar. And there's a reason why people say, Arsenal is just the red Tottenham. You take a look at the way we're playing in the league right now. Some of our performances for quite some time have been absolutely diabolical. I mean, this weekend we came up against a team that is struggling in League One, and we made them look like world beats, it had to be said. Yes, we had more or less a fringe team, but we still had more than our fair share of first teamers playing. And and several of our first teamers, it has to be said, looked like ducks out of water, including a chap named Salmon, a youngster who played at right back or right centre back. He was literally like a salmon out of water at times. And that horrible pass he made, which led to Mansfield's goal. And so, but then some of the football that we played, especially against Wolves home and away and other games, has been absolutely diabolical. But for what it's worth, we are still top. And many people have been saying, if we do manage to win the league, we will deserve it, regardless of the quality of the football that we play. But then there are a large number of us who are saying, no, it's not sustainable. The injuries could pile up and we might just end up getting caught with our, jocks and our undergarments down at any time. Now, for me, my caveat is, if he somehow manages to find a way to win the league or the Champions League, he will have earned my support for at least one more season. And then if things deteriorate where we aren't doing it all well, then we sack him, because that's the only fair thing to do. And Eugene can tell you that I am one of the biggest Arteta out people on the online Arsenal fan base. And you can see me on many streams. I don't have my own channel, but I'm on many streams talking about the demerits of Arteta and his own management style. And I don't like the football that's being played either. But again, I don't care how you win it if you can. Ange was able to win it. And the significance of what he did, of course, was that he put Arteta's own tenure at Arsenal to shame. Because the trophy that he won wasn't just a two-penny halfpenny domestic cup, gentlemen. It was a European trophy, the like of which hasn't been seen for more than 40 years. And so there is no way that people can deny that Ange played his part in it. And even as much as I don't like Arteta, I'm not going to deny that he will have played his part in our triumph if we do go and win the Premier League or the Champions League. I just don't know if we will. But when you are able to do that, and then now we come to Guy's catchword about metrics. Yes, you want to try to win, compete on all fronts. Yes, you want to try to, maintain some standards. But you've also got to maintain the environment by which, those standards can develop. You have a very low wage bill. You don't spend that much on players. You don't spend too much on wages. And recently there was a controversy about Conor Gallagher being the highest paid member of your squad. And he only just joined in the January window, for Pete's sake. At least with us. And the thing is with us, we spend far too much money on wages and transfer fees. We have unlimited backing, unlimited resources. So at least for what it's worth, for the conditions that we provide, any proper manager worth his salt would have won us a trophy by now. And that's another reason why we hate Mikel Arteta. So when you have a situation where, for what it's worth, you end up doing what you have to do to win, and Ange did say himself that it was his tactic from the start to play counter-attacking football, shut up shop, and allow United to come at them and maybe nick a goal and then just tighten things up. And I know, I watched until the end, mind you. I saw how desperate the defending became. I saw how United threw the kitchen sink at you. I remember Van der Ven's clearance, Vicario's saves and everything. And I have to say, when you look back on that thing again, when you reflect on it, nobody will remember how lucky you were, how crappy the performance was. People remember the fact that you won and you managed to make it happen. And when you start to have this idea that, I don't care if you win a major trophy, I still don't think trust you to go forward. Well, I can understand the logic behind it. But then when you hire someone like Thomas Frank, who I'm sorry to say has proven, given his league finishes at Brentford, given his own record against Ange Postecoglou, that he was nothing but a glorified Graham Potter for whom the job proved to be too big, it's borne out perfectly. And I think Guy has pretty much nailed it when he said that when you talk about the metrics of performances, Frank was simply worse. And yeah, you talk about sample size, Guy, you may have a point there. But the point is that under Frank, you were hurtling towards serious trouble. You're still continuing that way under Tudor. So that 8 month sample size is more than enough for me to say that there is no way that Frank would have done a better job than Ange Postecoglou. I'm sorry. Yes, both managers had it.
So we're just lying.
We're going to have to agree to disagree, Scott. I understand how you feel.
And first, can we stop saying major trophy? Like,
it is a major trophy. The second most prestigious trophy in Europe, whether you like it or not.
It's a joke. The trophy that we won.
Oh, come on.
Oh, my God.
Not even close to it.
We're not diminishing trophies. We're not diminishing trophies.
Look at who Newcastle.
We're not diminishing trophies. We're not diminishing trophies. I don't believe in diminishing trophies.
We're speaking
I don't believe in it.
Facts don't diminish trophies.
At the end of the day, factually speaking, it is not the top flight trophy in Europe. It's the second flight trophy in Europe. Then you've got the Conference League. And again, like, don't get me wrong. Here's the thing. Again, when it comes to trophies and the perception of trophies is all relative. For example, if Crystal Palace win the Conference League, right, that is a relative trophy to their history. Like I say, when people were telling me last season, and Eugene will back me up this, when Newcastle won the League Cup, right, I was celebrating it with them because that was a major deal for them. So, and when we start diminishing trophies and the achievements, and here's the thing, look, at the end of the day, it is the second. And if we win 2 more, we're going to get a nice special one. So I'm quite happy about that. You know, we were in a Champions League final in 2019. We weren't able to get over the line. Here's the thing, like, I was in the stadium during 2008 League Cup against Chelsea, which was, quite frankly, at the time, you got Drogba, you got John Terry. That was a prime Chelsea. And Robbie Keane and Jermaine was from a free kick, by the way, was able to get us over the line for that 2008 trophy. It was just a League Cup, but I celebrated it nonetheless. I don't diminish trophies or call them tin pot, right? Because at the end of the day, you can face teams in because you've got to realize we still did go up against Man United, against a Ruben Amorim Man United. And you've got to remember, Eugene will back us up on this. Everyone expected us to lose that final. Everyone. Remember, Eugene?
Yeah, no. Remember we went on KG's show, right?
Yes, and I made him dye his beard blonde as a bit. But here we go. So, and at the end of the day, I'm sorry, I'm never as a football fan or not. And here's the thing: when West Ham won the Conference League, I was furious, absolutely furious that West Ham won the Conference League. Because at the end of the day, it's people down the road, and I know people have different rivalries with different clubs due to location, but we cannot diminish trophies. We can't.
Absolutely.
We can't diminish trophies, because if we start diminishing trophies, what trophies are actually worth winning then?
But stating facts about the trophy isn't diminishing it. Guy, we didn't.
Okay, what facts? What facts about the trophy? What is the facts?
That it was much harder to win the FA Cup last year and Carabao Cup last year than it was to win the Europa League. That's all.
Cool. I can agree with you on that.
That's not diminishing the Europa. It's just that's the reality.
But when you say things, okay, so at the end of the day, so do you think that was during our performance, do you think that we should have won the trophy? Like, did you celebrate that trophy win?
Yeah, we won a trophy.
Rock and roll. Cool. All right.
All I was responding to Manny is when he said that when Arteta won the FA Cup that this was more impressive than that. I don't think so. I think winning the FA Cup was more impressive than us winning the Europa. That doesn't diminish the Europa. It's because of the quality of squads that you face in each competition.
Okay, so now we've got to the crutch of it. You just value different trophies in a hierarchical structure.
Yeah, I think there's a difference. Like last year when Palace beat City and I think Chelsea and Arsenal, if I'm not mistaken, to win the FA Cup, I think that's more impressive than beating AZ Alkmaar, Bodo, and United. Last year's United squad. That's all.
Okay, so we got to the crutch of it.
I don't think that means Europa. I didn't say we'd like throw away the Europa. I just don't think that it's when we say like it's a major trophy. Like I think it's a less impressive win than other trophies. That's all.
Okay, cool. But for me, from my standpoint, I think it just comes from a difference of outlook. For me, a trophy is a trophy is a trophy. Okay,
absolutely.
We can look back in hindsight, and the only reason, and this is the thing about hindsight reasoning that I always, hindsight reasoning is flawed because you can only tell the level of a competition after a competition is over. Right?
Yes.
You can only do that. Right? See, for me,
well, I don't know, but
well, it's true. I mean, how can you judge a full competition until it's over?
I think I can tell you right now that next year it'll be harder to win the Premier League than it will be to win League One. Like we can judge that based on like we know.
League One. Well, yeah, of course, because League One is obviously completely different. Apart from League One and the Championship, obviously League One teams and Champion and even other leagues can get into the FA Cup. But again, with that, are we agreeing that you can only judge the level of a competition until the end of it, right? Until all games have played?
Absolutely. I completely agree. And in a nutshell, I would sort of concur with everything you're saying by saying this. If you're a hungry person, there is no such thing as a bad loaf of bread. When you've been starved for trophies for so long, you'll take any trophy you can get, just as a hungry person will eat anything, regardless of how it can be something so foul tasting. And what you also said there, guys, absolutely profound. I mean, when it came to the Europa League final, yes, you had to play against Manchester United. And it's telling that a large number of people said that you weren't favourites to win, because I do seem to remember that your record against United that season was, nothing short of, well, for want of a simpler word, unbeaten. You never lost to them at any particular time. But because United had the heritage, they were expected to win because it was a European competition. But, you proved them wrong. And so regardless of how the opposition might have been, if you're going to continue to just say that, it was really nothing but, as people say, that it's nothing but a repechage European trophy against a poor Manchester United team, then I'm sorry, but it's a case of sour grapes. It's very similar to saying if, Arsenal win the league, it's really because the rest of the league has been absolutely horrible. I mean, I'm not going to buy that.
Like they did last season with Liverpool.
You could say something like that, but I don't go by sour grapes because sour grapes are disgusting. I mean, they have no taste. They leave an ugly taste in your mouth. They leave you feeling bitter, and it's not a really good thing. Because if other people are going to sort of say whatever they want to make themselves feel better about themselves, they need to remember that they weren't good enough. We still, to this very day, mind you, and I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about some idiots in my fan base. There are some idiots who are talking about how you conducted yourselves, supposedly, when, Spurs played Manchester City at the Tottenham Stadium in 2022-24, where some fans apparently were delighted that City were winning. I don't think that was representative of the entire fan base. But, we lost to Aston Villa at home. And City were full value for their charge to the title, winning every game since then, and we couldn't do that. So we had to look at ourselves and blame ourselves. And I'm not, and any kind of sour grapes from opposition fans is unwarranted, and devaluing your own success simply because, you might have some prefix notion about it. That's an even worse type of sour grapes. And I think Eugen said it perfectly. fans who see it fit to diminish the Europa League and what it meant to the club financially, as well as emotionally, as well as, on a footballing sense, those fans are the type of people who invariably want to suck the joy out of an accomplishment. And I'm sorry, but now there is a hypothetical situation where you could end up hovering dangerously close to relegation, Lord forbid end up getting relegated, but somehow win the Champions League. Of course, the probability says that it dictates that it can't happen. But, football is a stupid game at times. Stupid things have happened before. You never know what. So are you going to, diminish a Champions League triumph because you finished once again 17th or lower? No. You won that major European trophy. However it comes, your name is in the record books forever. And you can look back on that and reflect on that and say, you know what? We did that. We did something special for our club, and we did something good. And on the basis of that, Ange at least deserved to have an opportunity to reset, start from scratch. And if he failed after the first few games, then you could sack him and get a better manager. Or at the very least, if you wanted to sack him, get a better manager than that Danish Graham Potter.
Okay, that's a different question. That's a different question. But no. This is where we diverge, and I agree with Scott on this. Sorry, Scott, I agree with you. The thing is, and again, it always, and I'm gonna kind of do a little kind of thing here. At the end of the day, and here it comes, right? So fans, we can hound a manager out. Yes, at the end of the day, we can. We do have some impetus as the 12th man. Some impetus, I don't know what that is quantifiable. But here we go, right? And it comes down to this idea, and it also ties to an idea of entitlement, right? In the last 20 years, we have only finished outside of the Premier League top 8 twice. Once was with Juande Ramos, he got sacked. And the other time was with Ange Postecoglou, he got sacked. This
is going to be a third time.
Yeah, and this will be a third time, and it's a complete shit show, but that's a different kettle of fish. But let's stay on track with the entitlement and our usual league finish and all of that. So, and obviously I'm not talking about pre-Premier League, because otherwise we're going to talk about that 93-94 squad and the 93-94 season, which was absolutely horrendous. We finished 14th, but that's not Premier League. That was the Premiership, and I keep getting reminded of that fact. And it all comes down to the club's aims. It's not our aims, it's the club's aims. The club's aims want to be consistently in the Champions League. Why is that? Monetary reasons, simple as that, right? The more we are in the Champions League, the more money we get. So if we do not qualify for the Champions League, and weirdly enough, even Ange said this, and I found it very shocking that he said this. It's either naivety or idiocracy. I don't know which one. He said, and I quote, "I didn't realize how much qualifying for the Champions League was such a big deal." To me, that is just crazy, considering that he also managed another team that could have, he could have qualified for the Champions League. So
he did qualify the Champions League, right, for Celtic.
I know, but we're going on what he said, because this is an Ange stream, right? So I'm bringing it all the way back to Ange here. For him to say that, for him to say, "I did not realize how important it was to qualify for the Champions League," to me is absolutely shocking for a manager who is appointed for Tottenham Hotspur, considering the history and the sheer amazing jubilation that when we qualified for the Champions League under Harry Redknapp, remember that season, Eugene?
Yeah.
How happy were we that we were back in the Champions League, bro?
Well, that was the first time.
Yes.
I'm not mistaken. Not
yes.
back, right? It was the first time in the Champions League.
Yeah, and also and also Spurs have a turbulent history because we were also banned from the FA Cup one season. Remember that? That was horrid due to some dodgy dealings. So we were banned from a trophy, right? So, and also you got to realize English football during the 80s, late 80s, we were banned from European football completely due to hooliganism. Oh God, I can't speak. Hooliganism. That's it, hooliganism, right? So for a manager just to say that, to me, that is a no-go manager straight off the bat, bro. I don't know how you feel about that, but for me, if we are appointing a manager, we need Champions League qualification. Simple as that.
But we ain't going to be in the Champions League next season, right?
No, but what I'm saying is to have Ange say that and still say, oh, I didn't know how important qualification for the Champions League is, that is crazy juju to be saying for a Premiership manager. Oh, sorry, Premier League manager.
Well, let me also counter that by saying this. You know, you take a look at the clubs that normally do qualify for the Champions League from the Premiership on a regular basis. You've got your Manchester Uniteds, you've got your Liverpools, you've got your Chelseas, and, you know, until 20 years ago, you had your Arsenals. They've won Premier League titles. They've won league championships. When was the last time Spurs won the league championship?
No,
we know that.
Before I was born,
No,
mate.
we know that. Yeah, before I was born, before all of us were born, right? That's why I say we've not won the first division, Premier League, right, or Premiership, right, for the past 60 over years. We've never been top of the pile at all, right? That's why I say I don't want this.
We won the double once. We won the double once.
Yeah, Bill Nicholson was your manager.
I've got who also got relegated.
And that's the thing. Everything that Arsenal do, Spurs seem to do first. The first English team, I think, to win the double, if memory serves me right.
But Manny, don't worry, you're gonna win the quadruple this season, right? The first.
Oh, bugger that. No chance. We're losing the League Cup final to Manchester City. If we draw a top team in the next round of the FA Cup, we're out. We were horrible against Mansfield. I hope we'll go far in the Champions League. We've got no excuses for reaching the final, but something tells me the way we're being mismanaged, we're going to fall short. And as for the Premiership, it is squeaky backside time.
Man, people can call it haram. People can call it haram, but I've got 10 quid on City winning that League Cup, mate. I swear to God, if you make me lose a tenner, I will be after everyone. Right. But again, let's focus it back on Ange because that's the topic of the conversation. So I want to hear from Scott, right? Scott, we get a manager in. We sack him because he's crap. And he says to everyone, I didn't realize how important qualification for the Champions League is. What are you going to think, mate?
Well, I think it goes on. It's a good point about why I wouldn't want Ange back, even though he won because it shows to him that he doesn't really understand, in my view, Premier League or top level football, right? That's just one of many comments
bro,
where he doesn't understand. And I'll go back to what he said in the past, right? He said straight up, we don't want to do what other top clubs do. Okay, well then you're not going to win, right? Like that, then you're not going to win. And he said it. We don't want to get undeserved points when he said he wouldn't change when we were up 2-0 and he wouldn't change the way we played in the second half of games. He said that, and then he showed us that. And that's the problem. Because Manny said earlier, right, that he said about in a knockout competition, you have to play pragmatic. And if at any time other than the Europa League, he would have shown that he could do that, I might have to step back. But we went into a semifinal.
He didn't do it in his first season with Liverpool. The domestics, did he? He didn't do it in the first season during the domestics.
We were 1-0 up in the semifinal of the Carabao Cup, going to play Liverpool in their stadium. Is there ever a time where pragmatic play needs to be? That's where you set back and you say, we are going to get this 0-0. We need to just be as pragmatic as possible. Instead, Ange being Ange went out there, played gung-ho, and we got killed 4-1, and it could have been 10-1. Like there was, we were not anywhere close to that game. So that's why when I hear Ange say, like, he had chances to show that he was willing to change, to adapt, which every club needs. Manny's seeing it. You said, Manny, you don't love the way Arsenal playing, but this is what Arsenal has to do. They have to change how they play to get points because that's what matters at the highest level of football is that you get points however you do. One of the reasons City has been great, you watch those City teams. In the second half of the season, those guys were machines. They just got points. They never dropped points, and they were scary. And Ange showed time after time. If he would have showed that he learned from that time and the Europa League and then came back to the league, again, you can bin off the league, doesn't mean you still have to play a high line, right? Like that doesn't have anything to do with I binned off the league, so I still played a high line with my guys. When he went to Forest, I know it's hard to go in the middle of the season. He didn't change the way he played at all. He didn't learn
that was
anything.
Absolute disaster at Forest. And also, we do need to remember him at Forest. As much as some Forest fans were deep throating Ange on national television, right? In the background, they were shit scared, mate. They did not want Ange. And let's face it, the only reason he was appointed was because him and Big Mac are kind of friends. If we look at his performance at Forest, it did not suit the players. It did not suit the club. Excuse me. And he performed worse. And look, his performance at Forest should not be misremembered, because when he went to Forest, and even he has come out and said it was a mistake to go there. It was a complete mistake. And I agree, it was a mistake, and should have just disappeared for a bit, reflect on his time at Spurs, realise the type of game plan that he has in the Premier League, because I honestly do not think his type of football fits well within the Premier League. I don't think it does, as we have been shown. Go on, Manny.
Well, I'm going to disagree and say that there are some teams which will benefit from his style of play, and I will agree as well as a caveat that he will need to tweak his style a little bit. I'm also going to take this opportunity right now to, mitigate, if not defend, his stint at Forest by saying, well, we all agree that it was a bit of a mistake. And, he went over there to that team without having a preseason with players who just weren't at the time supposedly suited to play in a different way to what they had been used to playing under another former Spurs manager in Nuno Santo. But there were plenty of signs, and I remember watching the Europa League game against Real Betis, Manuel Pellegrini's Real Betis, who are, of course, into the knockout stages and could also go all the way. I'm still rooting for Aston Villa. I do like Unai Emery and Emi Martinez, so sue me. That particular game showed Forest at their best when they were able to adopt that style. They were moving forward, they were passing well, they were putting up a lot of impressive numbers, and had they scored a lot more, I know that we will always say that, if my aunt had a mustache, I'd call her my uncle, but Forest's problem was that at the time, their goal scorers couldn't hit a horse's backside with a banjo. So all of the progress that they were making under Ange was simply not getting rewarded. And so Marinakis should have had the decency to know that when you hire a manager whose style is poles apart to his predecessor, you have to give that person time. Instead, despite all of the progress that was being made in terms of the quality of the football they were playing, they just weren't scoring any goals. They weren't earning any kind of points. And so, for all intents and purposes, he will have to look back on that as indeed a mistake. And it's regrettable that it should be that way, but that is sort of the way the cookie crumbles. Or the biscuit crumbles. There is no room.
Yeah, but somehow they bum rushed us as soon as he was gone, though. Remember our result against Forest? I was about to say something different.
I would say that. And I'm coming to that. And then, when Sean Dyche came in, obviously, it was a short-lived return to, happier days. They were winning in Europe, and obviously they, gave you an absolute shellacking. But then if things were so good with them then, with him at first, he could have stayed until the end of the season. And yet he eventually got sacked. So
yeah, I saw that game where he got sacked. It's really funny. If you watch a Forest game, right, I can tell you exactly when Big Mac is going to sack a manager, right? He sits in the stands, arm folded, legs as wide, like he's got balls like the size of a cow, right? He opens his leg really wide and he gives the pitch a look that he wants to set it on fire. Then when he disappears 10 minutes before the game ends, that's it, that manager gets sacked.
Yeah, well, that is the thing. That is the thing. That is the thing. That is the thing. And so that sort of underlines the point here that at the moment Nottingham Forest is an absolute quagmire. They're on their fourth manager this season, the former Wolves manager, who was sacked earlier this season. And we can talk we can talk another day about how it's another reminder that managing in the Premier League is a closed shop, out with one job, in with another. But if there is something that will give you hope, it's that Forest are in an even worse situation than you. For all of the quality of the players they have, they're currently not being able to get results. And I remember saying this, commenting on the Spurs Danlist video. Shout out to Spurs Danlist, by the way. Danny Boy, of course. Wonderful fella. All of you know who he is. And I told him, I know. You and I have been on his show as well at the same time, mate. And I said, that game against Forest, which is almost effectively the Ange Postecoglou / Teddy Sheringham derby, is a 6-pointer. You win that match, and you will stay up.
Oh, we're not winning it, mate. Can we talk about
that? You never know. You never know. You never know.
Raise your hand if you think we're winning this.
I think we're gonna
Oh my God, Scott, you're optimistic. Scott, you're optimistic.
Well, I don't know. I just think that Forest are so bad. Like that's what, I don't think I don't know if that's optimistic.
Exactly.
I think
Considering the West Ham, because again, too much result-based analysis goes on in football, right? Considering, I know we've got Igor Tudor now, so I have to readjust to Igor Tudor, or I call him Tudor who, right? Igor who, because I had to Google that, bro, before, because my video was literally, I recorded a video about Frank's sacking. And then I got a call from my mate going, "Have you read the news?" And I'm editing my video, and I was like, "Oh God, I've got to do a skit now." But under Igor Tudor, and I'm seeing the performances. Here's the thing: I just, and here's the thing: it's at home. It's at home, and Eugene, Eugene, you know that bingo card that I have about our home form. Yep. First half okay, second half shit, draw. First half great, second half shit, draw. Both half shit, loss. I don't have any faith in any home wins. And the thing is, I said, and I predicted in my video, and Eugene, we've talked about this before, and on rival streams and Danalists and every stream that I go on, the 2 wins I thought were quote unquote guaranteed or an easy win or predicted points was Crystal Palace and Leeds. Right, so Crystal Palace is gone. We got completely thrashed 3-1 by Crystal Palace, apparently a team in disarray, apparently from a manager. Again, let's go with the narratives that we are being told, right? This is what's being told by Crystal Palace fans. The manager doesn't want to be here. The players are looking for a move. They've downed tools. They don't care. They know they're not going to get relegated. They just want to like tick along and find out, right? We got completely pampered.
They want to win the Conference League.
Yeah. So, but they are okay. So if they were trying to win the Conference League, and we're focusing on the Conference League, I'm doing air quotes. I know you can't see it, but it is what it is. They come to our ground and it's a 3-1. Scott, do you think Crystal Palace are better than Forest?
Yes.
Okay, cool. How much better? Do you really think that we aren't going to lose that home game? I want to know. What's your reasoning? Talk me through, bro.
I mean, I think it's a 50-50 game. I think both teams are so poor. I think one of the problems we see, right? Like, West Ham won one game, and it's like, oh my God, here we come, West Ham. And then you see that they
I know. My mate poured beer over my head. I was at a friend's house when they won that Fulham game, and I got told, "We're coming for you. and I had beer poured over my head because of it, because it's a lull. But go on.
I think it's a 50-50 game. We're not going to lose every game till the end of the season. It's a game. Forest can't score. Like, look, they are, I think, 25 goals in 28 games or something around there, right? They can't score, which is what we need, because if they are going to score 2 goals, I don't think we can. I think we can get a lucky winner and nick a 1-0 fluky win. Like, I don't think we're going to go in. I'm not like, we're winning that game, let me put my mortgage payment on it, but I just think
don't ever do that, mate. Don't ever do that with Spurs, man. God, Lord.
So that's what I'm not like you said. Who do we think are going to win? Sure, like 55-45. Not certainly nothing like.
Oh, okay. Now we know.
I just think I don't think we're going to lose, and it's a lot to do because I think Forest, Leeds, and West Ham are so bad. That's what we've been talking. You know, you've seen me. You know that I've said that I think we're staying up.
Are you basing that
because of how bad other teams are?
Yeah. Are you basing it? And again, it comes with metrics and qualifiers, right? Are you basing they are worse than us on results or performances, or a bit of both? I just want to make that clear.
A bit of both. I haven't been as impressed, but I know lots of people are impressed by some of the performances. When I watch them play, they can't score, and they don't look like scoring to me. Like, I think they're a team that doesn't look like, oh, they're just snake bitten and it's coming. They look like a team when you're like, they can't score. Like, yeah, I watched them and I'm not surprised. They don't have guys especially with Chris Wood being out, who would have thought you would be saying that's a big
God,
miss.
bro. Thank God. Thank God he is.
I just think we don't want to play against a team. Like, the one thing about Palace is, as we saw, like, they can score. They have a few guys that can score. And if you can score, you're going to get your chances against us. I think we can afford to give up the chances we're going to do against Forest and get away with it because they don't have guys who are going to finish it and punish us.
Okay.
And then again, like I said, we can get a lucky
Scott. Wait, but Scott.
Eugene, talk your piece, bro. Talk your piece. I want to hear your counter to this. Talk your piece, bro, because we're going to probably do a watch along for that.
My piece is very simple, bro. Dr. Tottenham.
Well, remember. Oh, West Ham, easy win. And I know it's a different manager. I get it. Before coming on to me and everyone dog piles me and blah, 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 blah. I just don't think, Eugene, you know this. I don't think there is actually anything called an easy or guaranteed win that we are ever going to face in this season, in the dog shit state that we're in. But I want to know from you. Come on, Eugene, you're the host. Give your piece of why you don't think we're going to win it.
Like I said, right, there's no peace, right? It's Dr. Tottenham, right? The thing is that, like, people can't do things. They come to our Spurs and they'll do it, right? Come on, Scott. You've seen it for so many years, right? Players who can't score, right, will come to Spurs and score. Simple as that, right? And to tell the truth, they are putting up a certain kind of fight better than us. We are not putting up a fight at all. You understand? We go 1-0 up, then our captain does the most bizarre, dumb thing in the whole freaking world. Like, he doesn't want to be there, right? Our players don't want to be there. Our players don't want to play for Spurs. There are only a handful of players who want to play for Spurs. The only thing is that how we can get these players to play for Spurs. This is why I say bring Ange back. Ange will be the only one to try to motivate them again. Right, to try to get something out of these guys again, the respect, right?
Scott,
maybe they'll listen to him, right? That's the only thing. But the Forest game, right? Under Tudor, I don't know. I maybe give him a bit more time. Maybe let's see what happens in the A Madrid game and the Liverpool game. He might surprise us. He might get a result out of the Liverpool game. We'll never know, right? But what we are seeing now with the players not coming out for us, why are we looking so far at the Forest game? Because we really written off the Liverpool game, right?
Because it's like a six-pointer, bro. Because it's a six-pointer, that's why.
Right. No, but everything is that now every point counts.
I think that Forest game is huge. Like, if we lose that game, I might change my view on us getting relegated.
Yeah.
And if we win it, it's hard for Forest to pass us.
And I agree. Beat Forest and you'll be safe. And I think. Do you also have to play Burnley, or have you already done that?
No, we've already done it.
Done that.
What about
play
Wolves?
Wolves?
Done it,
we
mate.
play
No. The next
Leeds
one,
and-
the biggest, as Scott was going to say, the big one's coming up, mate. The quote unquote easy wins is Leeds at home, or
Okay.
and a lot of Eugene. I was about to say Elijah, but Eugene, Elijah is trying to convince me that we're going to beat Wolves at home, bro, at the Molineux. Wolves at
I think
home
that's another-
is another big game.
Yeah,
So,
of course
Scott,
that's a
do you
big
think
game.
that we're going to beat Wolves? Do you think we're going to beat Wolves at home?
Again, when you say think, like let's get. I agree. There's no easy wins. There's no easy wins
Yep.
for us. No easy wins. I think that the three big games that I would be looking at: Wolves, Leeds, Forest. Those are the three
Yes.
games where I would say that. I mean, we're doing predictions. Predictions are crazy because we know what's going to happen.
I
We're going
know,
to lose
but
those three
it's
games.
content, bro.
We're going to
It's
beat
content.
Chelsea, like what we never do. We'll beat Liverpool. And like that's the other. Like we do stupid things, right? We lose 1 week to Wolves, and then the next week we beat Man City because we're a stupid team. But I think those are the three key games. I think the Leeds, Forest, Wolves games are the key games. If you win those three, we're
I
safe.
agree.
We're safe and clear. And I'm not saying that they're easy games, not saying they're games you should win, but those are 50-50 games. Those I know that everybody loves Wolves. They have 3 wins this year. Like I know that
I know.
They are
the Wolves.
not
The Wolves resurgence memes. The Wolves resurgent meme is so strong, it's hilarious. But Eugene knows
guys,
this.
No, but guys, look, we look back, right? When we were talking about the West Ham game, we were supposed to win easy win. The Palace game, we were supposed to win. There's so many supposes, but we never be able to do it, right? Because there's something, I don't know, mentally, functionally wrong with our players at the moment.
Oh, we're in a death spiral, mate. Mentally, we're in a death spiral. Eugene, you know this because you know I play football. Well, not right now because I'm in recovery, right? I have been playing with teams, right? We go into a game. If we think we're going to lose it, 9 times out of 10, we lose it, bro. 9 times out of 10, because it's a mentality thing. And Scott, I understand where you're coming from because here we go, right? If we run, I love this. I love doing this, right? If we do an AI scenario where we go to Anfield and we beat them, just say we do. Devil's advocate here, boys and girls. We beat Atletico. We beat Liverpool. That builds momentum. If we've got momentum going into the game, I would be more open to it, right?
Yeah.
But if we don't build momentum, and this is what kills teams, coming from personal experience playing in teams. If you got the mindset of, wow, mate, we're fucked. We just got to go out there and play our best, bro. We just got to do it, man. Just survive the game, bro. 9 times out of 10, you ain't leaving that place of a point, right? But for me, like I say, Scott, you're completely right. The key games are Leeds and Wolves and the other one. But we just need to build momentum. And this is a little bit of hope. I'd say it's not even hope. It's more cope. If we build momentum, I will go into those games with more optimism. But if we keep, and again, Champions League game out the side, because I honestly do think European teams this year in the Champions League have not been doing well in the league phase. They have not. Look at Real Madrid. Look at Barcelona. Look at Atleti. Look at the only good team that's doing really well, weirdly enough, is Bodo Glimt. But I know it's weird, isn't it? It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, and remember they were supposed to be shit, right?
Oh, they were so terrible. Remember that game we watched someone throw in the ball and the guy tapped it back to him on the touchline and he just watched it roll out the park, bro. Yeah. Anyway, that aside, if we have momentum. And we're kind of talking about relegation talk. I know we always do. But anyway, if we get momentum, of course, my thoughts will change. But mate, it's dark being a Spurs fan. And the thing is, I had a tiny little bit of hope going into the NLD, man. I had a tiny bit of hope. and I went to that match. Eugene, you know, I went to that match.
Yeah.
And I was going to record a video, bro. I was going to record a video coming out the stadium, but I didn't want to get my channel nuked before I started it. You know what I mean? But that aside, I think those 3 games are key. Now, here's the underlying thing. So, yeah, it's Forest, Wolves, and Leeds, isn't it? So, I don't know, man. It's just one of those things. It's one of those things. I'm the only way I'm going to have a good optimistic attitude going into Forest is if we pull our asses out of our hats or pants or socks or use all of the little phrases that you want to say. Pull your boots, socks up and all that crap. Tie your laces, bring your boots and shin pads, all of that crap, right? If we don't do it and we are in a proper death spiral, man, I don't think we're going to pull this off, brothers. I really don't.
Yeah, I know. But okay, it's going to be 3:05 a.m. here in Malaysia. We will have, I guess, one more round of last thoughts, right? Manny, do you think we'll get relegated?
No. And I will sort of piggyback off what Guy is saying about building momentum, and that is a perfectly valid point. I think, are you playing at the Metropolitano tomorrow or on Wednesday?
Yeah, where we lost our Champions
Tomorrow.
League 2019 final, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but when is my question? Are you playing it
Wednesday.
tomorrow? When?
Tomorrow.
Wednesday.
We play tomorrow.
No,
right?
tomorrow.
Wednesday.
Sorry, Wednesday
Tomorrow.
or next
Tomorrow,
week.
bro.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, tomorrow.
different time zones.
and then the next week.
Yeah.
We're all in different places in the world.
Not
chat.
tomorrow. We're playing today, Manny, in our time zone today. We still
Yes,
now.
that's the thing. That's
We're
the
playing
thing. That's the thing.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah. So if it is Tuesday, it must be Madrid, not Belgium. And I'd like to think that, maybe the memories of the run. And this is another thing. It really gets my goat when I hear a large number of Spurs fans saying that, beating Ajax to qualify for the Champions League final was their greatest ever memory. You ended up winning nothing. Nobody remembers, the team coming in second. And, of course, we all know that months after that, Poch got, the boot. And you could say, in retrospect, that was what started the whole downward spiral in many ways, although, opinions might differ. So the reason why I bring up that particular clash is that this is the thing about, European competition. It's one way to, at least give you, I would say, maybe a false sense of confidence. If you're able to, put in a really good performance away from home at the Metropolitano, you could take some confidence going into the remainder of the season. And I'll be, obviously we're playing on Wednesday. We're playing on Wednesday, and I don't know if I'll be able to, watch you lot play because I might be having a stream with Craig Beasley from Up the Cherries and All Departments. Shout out to him, by the way. But I'd like to think that will give you some confidence knowing that you can at least tackle the games you need to tackle. And I will also say, and this is the most important thing, as with last season, some of the teams that you've got below you are absolutely diabolical. As wonderful as Wolves' recent performances have been, they've left it far too late. And when they start to have pressure on themselves, I think that FA Cup game against Liverpool proved that they probably won't be able to handle it in all likelihood. And I think they're going down. And Burnley, of course, under your former player, Scott Parker, they're also cut adrift.
Also, Charlton legend. He's a Charlton legend, remember?
Also played for Chelsea, but whatever. Mourinho didn't. Mourinho didn't give him enough games to let him earn a Premiership winners medal. So at least he had the balls to say, "Sorry, Jose, I don't want to be a part of this. I need to play football. I'm out of here." Good on him. I think Burnley are cut adrift as well. So it really is going to be a case of who gets that final position. And I'm not going to lie, it isn't looking good for you, but it's looking worse for the likes of Nottingham Forest. Even West Ham, let's make it clear, are not out of the woods just yet. I do not see Leeds United being sucked in. But again, you win the games you need to win. You take it seriously. You should be fine. And this isn't a case of saying that you're too good to go down, because even Eugene agrees that no club is too big to go down, and big clubs have gone down before and have had to struggle to come back up. And take a look at Leicester now with Oliver Skipp and Harry Winks. You know, they're potentially about to get relegated from the Championship. So it could be what it is, but you're not getting relegated. Just, you know, as you said, pull your socks up and dust yourselves off and on to the next one. Focus on winning. And listen, for what it's worth, I thought, yes, Crystal Palace had an early goal disallowed, but you started well enough to take the lead. And if Van de Ven had not done what he did, I keep joking about it, saying, na, 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 na. Mickey's giving up, Mickey's giving up. But he shouldn't have done what he did. And there's always going to be a question of those fine margins. What would have happened if he had just kept his cool? I think there is a lot of potential for you lot to play a lot better than how you're playing. So it's like your back's against the wall. That's when you've got to prove your mettle. And I think you'll be fine.
Okay, fair.
Go on, Scott, you take it, mate, because mine's going to be succinct as fuck.
Yeah, I think we're going to be lucky that we can, that the other teams keep us up. I've been saying it since we started talking about this. I think West Ham, Leeds, and Forest are not very good. As Spurs are terrible, they're terrible as well. We're lucky that we have the advantage over Forest and West Ham. It might come down to that. It's just that West Ham can't make up the difference that they need to make up. Forest can't make the difference that we made up. If we lose to Forest, I think that's a big, I would probably change my view at that point. That would be it. But until we do that, I'm going to still say we're not going to get relegated. Doesn't mean that we don't need major changes. Doesn't mean that this year hasn't been a nightmare, but we've known that, Eugene, since we've been on here. The problem that we have this season is we no longer have a Son, we no longer have a Kane, we no longer have a Bale, who, when you're not playing well, when you're terrible like we are this year, those guys get you points on their own. And we have not a single person in our squad who can get us 3 points that are undeserved that we need. And the concern is we don't even seem to have players who can get us 1 point that is undeserved. And that's really what we need now, because the fact is, if you could have a few of those games where we lost the West Ham, you know, and we change those to draws, we're probably not talking about relegation, but we don't have anybody to do that. So we're going to have to now rely for the rest of this season. We're going to have to watch not just our results, but what'll be equally important is the West Ham, Leeds, and Forest matches the rest of the way.
That's true. And Guy, your turn.
Right, I'm going to do this very succinctly. Fuck West Ham, fuck Nottingham Forest, fuck Burnley, and fuck Wolves. Enoch out.
All right, guys, thanks for being here. Let me go through the chats. Big up to Chris, right? And of course, Simon.
I told you it'd be succinct.
Yeah, I know. All right. And then let's see what else. Peter, right? Peter was here. All right, 164 Spurs are here. All right, Scott is here with me. And of course, Miss Donna Cullen, right? One of the OGs from
the
way
Zesty,
back.
Miss Zesty, bro.
Yeah. You don't know her. We've known her for years. You ask Scotty, right? Yeah.
I know, bro.
Yeah. There's a big drama behind
some
it.
DPs in the inbox, bro. Not gonna happen, lady. Not gonna happen.
And of course, EJ. And of course, Nick. Yeah, Barrison Royale. And of course,
Barrison Royale. Big up, brother.
Yeah, and of course, Marcos, like a teacher from Brazil. Right, all you guys, thanks for your support today, right? What else can I say? You know, try to do this show, have a chat with whether we should bring Ange back. I don't know, forget. Scotty was in the chats earlier too. Let me see, right? Scott was in the chat, yeah. Hold on. Reload this side. Hold on, cancel. Not reloading this side. Okay. Oh, what else? What else got? And Guy was here, yeah. All right, guys. I guess this was a good chat, right? Talking about whether we should bring Ange back or not. But of course, Scott and Guy thinks no. I think yes, right? Because most probably he might be able to get something out of this, whatever we
but Eugene, add me to the yes. So we're split 50-50.
Oh, yeah, 50-50. Yeah,
that shows it. The Gooner wants us to bring him back.
Yeah, we got him, boys. We got him.
No, but listen. I'm not like other Gooners. I don't badmouth you. I don't wish that you get relegated. And I'm also going to say this. And I've said this to you, Scott. I've said this to you, Guy. And I'm going to say this to you, Eugene. If we bottle these 4 trophies and end up trophyless, I will come on here and receive all the smoke that I can get.
Okay, let's see what happens then. Let's see what happens then. All right. But guys, thanks for being on. Right, I'll catch up with you a bit in the back room. Right. All right, guys, thanks for all the support. Right, catch up with you later. Come on, you Spurs. Bring Ange back. Enoch in. Whatever.